I've been a fan of SpongeBob since I was a little kid, and even though I haven't really watched much of their newer episodes, I still enjoy rewatching some of the older seasons. So I'll always have some nostalgia for watching SpongeBob or playing SpongeBob games. So when I finally completed Cosmic Shake, I was left wanting more. If you are a SpongeBob fan, you probably already bought the game and you most likely enjoyed it. Cosmic Shake does so many things well in its cutscenes and dialogue and the environments you play in. It truly feels like you are playing in a SpongeBob episode or movie. There was so much care in this aspect of the game, and I commend Purple Lamp Studios for what they accomplished. Even though I enjoyed the game, there was a lot of things I was disappointed in, and I thought the developers could have done better. If these issues weren't present in the game, Cosmic Shake would have a good chance of being called a masterpiece. One of the main issues is how they utilize SpongeBob's new abilities. Since SpongeBob is the only playable character, unlike in Battle for Bikini Bottom, they gave SpongeBob a plethora of new abilities like gliding with a pizza box, a homing karate kick, a lock-on bubble ball, a fish hook swing, and the bubble board, and more. These abilities allow him to either traverse through levels, deal damage, or both. Being able to use the karate kick to not only lock onto enemies to defeat them, but being able to move around the level opens up the possibility to combine platforming with combat. However, that really isn't the case. There aren't many segments where you combine platforming and combat. Thus, there is no real synergy most of the time between the two, which would have allowed for many different gameplay elements. Additionally, there is no real synergy between all the moves, which makes some of the challenges pretty easy and boring. There are bonus challenges to get golden coins throughout the levels, where you have to use one of your abilities to get from point A to point B within a time limit. However, most of them are easy because they utilize only one move, so you don't really have to think about what you're doing. The one move they use a lot is the bubble board. You simply have to keep moving to each board to make sure your board doesn't pop within the challenge. And the obstacles that are in the way are so easy to dodge that you'll almost never mess up. There is also another type of challenge where you use your bubble to hit the correct target within a short amount of time. And it's just very slow and easy. Now imagine if you were to combine all these elements of combat and platforming with all your different abilities. Imagine a challenge where you have to use your karate kick to lock on to enemies to cross a gap, while another type of enemy is shooting projectiles at you. And it isn't linear, so you have to decide which enemies to kick to progress forward while dodging projectiles. Or imagine you have to quickly switch between your abilities, where you have to use your hook swing in combination with your glider and bubble board in order to complete a challenge. It allows your abilities to not feel so one-off, but instead they all have to work together. There are a few glimpses of this, but they are far and few between. In the Bikini Bottom hub world, there is a challenge where you have to use your hook swing to traverse through these rings of fire and use your glider and karate kick in order to make it to the end. It is one of the few challenges where your abilities synergize with each other instead of being so independent. Other segments in the game that aren't challenges do mix up things a lot, where they are pretty interesting and fun to play, like navigating through the sky onto these ships with the fish hook swings and boost rings. Or the segment where you're shooting a scene for a movie and you have to make sure you're in the camera frame while fighting enemies and dodging obstacles. If some of the bonus challenges were as creative as the main parts of the game, they wouldn't be so easy or repetitive to complete them. The other main issue of the game are the boss fights. Some of them are fun to play against, like Sandy and Pearl, however most of them will be leaving you wanting more. Some of the boss fights aren't even real boss fights. Gary, for example, you don't even fight against. You just have to make it to the top of the level while platforming and dodging his attacks. The gimmick here is that you can hide from him to avoid his attacks, however, it's just so much easier and faster to just run right through this segment. There is an achievement to not be seen by him, which may motivate you to sneak through, so at least they have that. But if this sneaking segment led to an actual fight with Gary while punishing the player way more for being spotted, then I would say that this would be a pretty good boss fight. And then quote-unquote boss fights like Mr. Krabs and Admiral Prawn are again not really boss fights at all. It's just making it to the end of the segment while fighting enemies. But neither of those are as disappointing as the final boss fight. I won't show it due to spoilers, but the final boss fight was such a letdown. It's not multi-phased, it's super easy, 3 attacks and the boss is defeated. Even while the credits were rolling, I just kept thinking that that it was all a trick and there would be another phase. But nope, it's just super easy, super short, and that was just the end to the game. Lastly, another issue with the game is that there's no reward for getting all the collectibles. What is different in this game compared to Battle for Bikini Bottom is that you don't need collectibles to complete the game. The gold coins in Cosmic Shake are only for obtaining new costumes in the game. For this alone, I'm actually fine with. Unlocking new costumes is really fun because it doesn't show you what the costume is for each tier until you unlock that tier. They have a bunch from classic episodes that SpongeBob fans would appreciate. However, once you make it to the last tier, there are 20 gold coins left. So I thought that there would be a hidden tier at the end, but that just isn't the case. Once you get all the coins, you just get an achievement and that's it. There is no real reward for collecting all the coins. Without these issues, Cosmic Shake would be a much better game than it is now. They have all the pieces there, but they just weren't meshing together well enough. Don't get me wrong, I still enjoy the game. It has the same charm that you would expect from SpongeBob. The presentation of this game was excellent, and if the gameplay was just as good, then we would have an amazing game here. Hopefully Purple Lamp Studios does make a new SpongeBob game because I am sure they can make a masterpiece of a game if they just focus more on perfecting their gameplay loop. So what do you all think? Am I being too harsh to a game that is mainly targeting children, or does this game deserve that critique? Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.